I'm really glad we've been able to implement the protocol for our daily review of indwelling urinary catheters. We know we've had some patients who've had their catheters left in place longer than necessary within our unit. So I'm really hopeful this will help us all improve.
Well, you know, it was great working with the physician team that actually developed the protocol and designed the process for the timely removal of catheters.
When I took that protocol back to the physician group, they had no problem agreeing to it.
And that was really important, Susan, for everybody on the unit. Since it's been adopted, we've seen great compliance with the protocol.
Hi, Miss Kamari. I'm Audrey Moore, your nurse for today. How are you?
I'm doing okay. Do you think I can get up today?
Well, the team just finished making rounds, so let me go and check to see what your plan is for today. I see you have an IV and a urinary catheter. Let me go and check your orders, and then I'll get back to you in just a few minutes.
Okay.
Hi, Audrey. What's up? You look concerned.
Of my 5 patients today, 3 of them still have catheters in place.
Really?
Yeah, and when I did the daily review of the indwelling urinary catheter checklist, it looks like 2 of my patients actually meet the criteria. One of my patients actually transferred from the intensive care to general unit, and then the other patient actually requested that the catheter be removed. They really shouldn't have catheters in anymore. I'm going to request that they be removed this morning.
Yeah, it looks like that to me too. They should be removed.
You know, I'll go ahead and take care of this during my shift, and then I'll follow up with Sheri and find out why they weren't removed.
Good idea. It'll help you understand why she made the choices she made. And it'll help her better understand the risk of not following the protocol.
Got it. And then I'll talk to her one-on-one during her next shift. Thanks. Sheri, good morning. How are you?
Doing well.
Look, we have about 20 minutes before our shift begins. You want to grab a cup of coffee?
I would love a cup.
Sheri, I know you've been involved in some of the Learning from Defects meetings, and I know how important it is that we work well together to keep our patients safe.
Very important.
Well, since we implemented the new protocol for the removal of urinary catheters, I know that some of the nurses have actually had to make adjustments to make sure that they remove those catheters as soon as they can be. That's what I want to talk to you about. Yesterday during my shift, I noticed that 2 of my patients actually met the protocol, but they still had their catheters in place.
Well, yesterday was a really busy day. Are you trying to tell me that I'm not doing a good job?
Now, Sheri, we've worked together for a long time. I know how committed you are to your patients. You are totally dedicated to high-quality patient care. I try to do that too. But sometimes, you know, when we get really busy, it's hard to follow the policy and procedures like we should. And looking back, I can remember when I have been even broken rules because I thought nothing bad would happen to one of my patients.
Yeah, that's right. It is hard sometimes. But my patients are very important to me.
See, that's why I wanted to talk to you, because I know you want to provide the safest care for our patients. We both know that urinary tract is the most common site for healthcare-associated infections. I'm just trying to understand, is there something about this new protocol and using it that keeps us from being able to do it when we get really busy?
Audrey, I do want to follow that protocol, but like I said, yesterday was really busy. I was afraid that if I took those catheters out, the patients would end up putting on the call light because they needed to go to the bathroom, and I wouldn't be able to help them. And you know what that can lead to. Mr. Jones is elderly, and if he put on his call light and I wasn't able to get there, he would get up and try to go on his own. And I was worried he would have a bad fall.
You know, that's understandable, and I heard how busy it was yesterday. There are going to be a lot of those days. And I know having to go through the checklist in the beginning of your shift is a burden. And it takes even more time when you have to help your patients go to the bathroom. And your concern about falls is every bit as important as lowering the risk of infection. But I really need you to work on this because the data is real. Patients are really getting bad infections when they leave these catheters in for too long. And infections aren't traceable to any one particular caregiver. We may never know if one of our actions is the reason why our patients are harmed. Do you remember Mrs. Riley? I think you took care of her a few times, right?
I did.
Well, she developed a horrible infection because her catheter wasn't removed. It went on to be urosepsis. Look, looking back at the Learning from Defects meetings, I seem to remember a statistic about urinary tract infections making up about a third of the healthcare-associated infections that we have here in our hospital.
Audrey, you're so right. I know UTIs are a really big problem. I'm going to do a better job of using the checklist. I just wish there was something we could do about our busy days.
Yeah, we'll need to talk about that at our next meeting.
Yeah, I agree.
There are some units that use toileting rounds, so the nurse checks in with the patient every hour to see if they need to use the bathroom. I've heard it actually helps patients to use that call light less often.
That's an interesting idea. You know, I'd like to learn more about that. But for today, I'm going to try hard to use the urinary catheter protocol.
That's great, Sheri. Oh, look at the time. We need to get back to the floor.
Okay.